Hello everybody, my name is Bridget Chavez and I have my family with me today, my three lovely daughters Isabel, Brooklyn, and Sienna. And today I'm going to be giving you my persuasive speech. My speech is going to be on missions. Is it a blessing or a lost cause? Okay? So, that's a very, very strong sentence, right? Missions. Is it a blessing or a lost cause? The purpose of my speech is to convince you of the difference of going on a missions trip, what it can make in your life, okay? Regardless of the number of times or the number of people you serve on the trip, you can make a difference. It can be one person that you impact, or it can be several, but you're making a difference in someone's life. And that's the purpose of a missions trip. I hope that after this speech, you're enticed to sign up again and again to volunteer, and I'll give you some statistics and examples of those who need your help. Then I'll also tell you a little bit about my personal experience firsthand and how I became an AG missionary, okay? My daughters have actually volunteered this past weekend for their very first missions trip, second missions trip. We did go to the Los Angeles Dream Center, and I am wearing a shirt that we got there that says,
We get to serve.
we get to serve, okay? This is kind of like your mission shirt when you go out on the field. You get to wear your we get to serve shirt, and that's something that you should be proud of, right? You got to serve somebody else, somebody outside of your own needs. You got to fill those needs, okay? So let me start by asking you all this. How many people have you passed in the last 2 weeks who could have used a drink of water, or a prayer, or a blanket, a sandwich, or just a simple conversation, right? We meet somebody and we come in contact with somebody like that every day who needs something. It doesn't have to be a material thing, but they need something. You know, for us as Christians, we know that we need Christ, right? These are people who need Christ as well. And that's something that you can accomplish on the missions trip. You get to share not only Christ with them, but we get to share Christ by displaying love through our actions, by serving them, right? And that is playing with kids on a playground, right? They were so sad when we left, and you got to see why. They don't have people that do that with them every day, you know? Sometimes their parents are on drugs. Sometimes they only have one parent, and that parent doesn't have time to go and play at a playground. And so here comes the Dream Center, right, to play with the kids and show them love and just listen to them if they're having a bad day. And that's what you guys got to do this weekend. And I was very proud of that. Here's some statistics for Arizona and the area that we live in, okay, Maricopa County. So according to the Phoenix Rescue Mission, more than 25,800 people in Maricopa County alone, just our county, because we have several counties, are homeless. They have no place to call home. 25,800 people, okay? Almost 33% of those people are mothers with children, single mothers. 33%. Okay, a little less than half of those people just walking up and down our street, you know, hoping to find an empty house, an abandoned home, or an abandoned park bench to find for their children to sleep on. You know, that's just something to think about. And just the other day we saw someone digging in our dumpster for food. You know, I didn't shoo him away, but you know, I knew he was looking for food. And that's right in our own, literally our own backyard, okay? We have seen this firsthand. The community that we live in has a high traffic area for homelessness. And the reason that is because we have a shelter in the morning that offers them breakfast. And when they're done there, we have a shelter at the end of the street that offers them a bed to sleep in. So we get to see them walk back and forth all day looking for something. Right? And that's a blessing that we have community shelters like that that are able to do that. But what a bigger blessing for the people that volunteer there, right? They get to help those people every day, the way you did, the way I did. The problem with that is there not enough volunteers to help people who are in need, okay? So I'm a wide open missionary with the Assemblies of God. I became a missionary about 12 years ago, well, almost 12 years ago. I went on my first trip to Paris. That trip changed my life, okay? I grew up as a missionary child to two missionary parents, one who preached and played music, and my mother who cooked and gave out clothes and stuff to the children. And until I went on that trip, I had forgotten about that. On the very last day of that trip, they asked us to think about what we would think that God would want us to do with our time now that we've spent all this time serving people in another country, to have 5 minutes and talk to the Lord and think about what you think He would want you to do. And immediately God brought me back to a memory of when I was serving as a child, handing out apples to a child with no clothes and no shoes on. All he wanted was an apple. Immediately then I knew that God wanted me to continue being a missionary. So you pick up the baton, right? You pick up the baton that somebody hands you and you move forward. If your parents can no longer do it, you know, there's a great need for missionaries. You can volunteer in your own neighborhood, you know. You can go outside and hand somebody a bottle of water and a prayer if they need it. That is being a missionary. As God did, as He walked the streets and prayed for people and healed people and provided food for people by miracles, that was a missionary. He was the missionary. And that is the baton that He asks us to pass on, to display love through service. Mission trips are a blast, I'm sure you guys know. They're a blast. It's not all serving and you know, big parties, but it's work, but you also get blessed in the process. God opens doors for you on those mission trips. You're able to find out who you are and what it is that you're supposed to be. That is the first thing that He will show you. You love playing with children, children's ministry. You love drawing, media, volunteer in a church media department. There are several opportunities where you can go to different churches, different states, different countries, and volunteer. Wide Open Missions, AG Missions, there is great need on there for volunteers in countries, states, in your own neighborhoods. You can go on there and you can click. There's rebuilding projects. There's church building projects. There's worship and ministry projects. There's so many things that you can volunteer in. When I volunteered in Paris, it was to refugee women who were converted to Christianity. So they were shunned from their families because they were Christian now. They were no longer part of their families. They had to go into hiding. And we went to Paris and we provided love to those women. We brought clothes to those women. We spoke, you know, God's word to them. We gave them makeovers. We got to share our testimonies with them. And that's just a little bit of what you could do for somebody to encourage them. Tell them a little bit about your life. These are just ways and things that you can do to impact somebody on a missions trip. And it impacts you as well. It changes your life, am I right? It changes your life, right? It was your first time, it was your first time, your second time. It'll change your life forever. How easy did you pick up that child and start playing with her?
So easy.
It was very easy. It was like you were meant to do it all along, right? Proud moments. You'll never forget those moments of those times you had with those kids, right? Because we get to serve. And it's a privilege, it's an honor that God gives you that you get to serve others. And you're putting so much joy into someone else's life, but you're getting a blessing in return. And at the end of the day, you're discovering who you are supposed to be for Christ, right? So what is volunteering as a missionary to you? Is it something that you've never really thought about? Is it a word that is scary for you or intimidating? Does it freak you out when someone says, would you like to go on a missionary trip? The needs for missionaries are great, right? For the past 6 years, I have led missionaries to different countries and different cities around the world. We've gone to New York, Los Angeles, to Paris, and in each of those areas, they focus on different ministries. You focus on the homeless ministry in Los Angeles on Skid Row, or you focus with family ministry in Los Angeles, and we get to volunteer with food and playing with the children and tutoring, and that's something we did this past weekend. In Paris, we get to work with refugees who have fled to Paris from other countries. We get to help them with clothes and food, and we preach to them. And it's not shoving religion in their face. It's showing God's love, right? The response that I usually get when I ask somebody if they would like to go on a missions trip. The response I usually get is, I don't know if missions is for me. I don't see myself as a missionary. Or, let me think about it, and then they never think about it again. So, rather than force people into it, you take a team on a missionary trip. You let them come back and share their experience with others. This starts a wildfire. This starts people's curiosity to ask questions. Why would I want to go on a missions trip? This is why you go on a missions trip. There's so many areas. We spoke on those areas already. Music, worship, children's ministry. The possibilities are endless when you go, right? Let me tell you this. One of the first things that impacted me when I went to the New York Dream Center, I took a coworker with me who wasn't serving Christ, and he's a great friend of our family now. And he went to the New York Dream Center with us, and when he came back, he gave his life to the Lord. The first thing he said, why he gave his life to the Lord, I've never thought that handing out food or washing dishes for someone could impact their lives until I did it myself. Being a Christian is not about shoving religion in someone's face. It's about serving others, and I got to do that. It not only made him feel great about what he was giving, but what God was showing him he can be as well, okay? That's something you learn on a missions trip. You grow. It can be for 3 days, it can be for a day, but something on that trip, God will speak into your life. It doesn't matter if it's for a day, the way we did. He will speak into your life and he will show you this is where you're supposed to be. And maybe you're not supposed to be a missionary, right? Maybe you're not supposed to be one. But he will show you the area that he feels like you will be blessed in. You will bless him in. He will show you that area. Being a missionary is a great need for many countries and cities. You can start as big or as little as you like. I simply took a chance and went on my first missions trip. And immediately after I returned, I reflected for a week and I discovered I was supposed to be a missionary. I would have never rediscovered this if I didn't take that chance and I didn't go. I can't imagine my life now not being a missionary. I mean, I would be a mother. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. But I knew that God had something more for me because I was not happy doing nothing. And that is the reason that we serve. God wants us to be active. He wants you to do something for the kingdom, right? I've been able to share some statistics with you guys, some trips and some ways in which you can volunteer on a trip. We have the New York Dream Center trip coming up in July. That is open to everyone. Did I run out of space? Did I run out of space? Can you look, please?
Oh, it's still going.
So, is it? The biggest reason I would tell you to go on a trip is not only giving and serving is a huge blessing, but God blesses you as well. Who knows, you may discover who you were supposed to be all along. Go out, take a chance, see where God takes you. And one of the best quotes that I've ever heard is from the Los Angeles Dream Center, and I'll leave you guys with this. Find a need and fill it. Find a hurt and heal it. God bless you.